Alright, so we're going to jump into this healing PCOS naturally and understanding your hormones and restoring balance. Now, a lot of people don't really understand PCOS, and I feel like a lot of doctors don't understand it. And I want to break this down to make it clear and simple for everyone to understand it. Now, let's see. Getting right into it. Understanding your hormones and restoring balance. First off, PCOS is common but poorly explained. Many women are told they need to use birth control or metformin to take care of their symptoms or to cure or treat their PCOS. And the cycles usually stay irregular for years or decades. There's no regulation at all. It's just erratic for extended periods of time. And this presentation exists to explain why and to offer alternatives to these modern medicine that they use to treat PCOS because they're not very effective. So, what PCOS really is? PCOS is a communication disorder, not just in the ovaries. It involves the brain, hypothalamus, pituitary glands, the ovaries, insulin, and inflammation. And each woman is different. We all have different bodies, so there are different PCOS patterns. And I'll explain that as we go further on. It's very important to understand this distinction that there are different types of PCOS. A lot of people will say, no, there's not. Well, if you get one person that has a certain type of PCOS and their symptoms fall into this one category and they have no other symptoms of any other categories, then they have a different type of PCOS than, the next person. So, the hypothalamus, your hormone conductor. Now you have to think of the hypothalamus as a conductor of your reproductive hormone orchestra. Just its job is simply to sense what's happening in your body, to decide when and how often to send signals, to keep everything in rhythm. And it doesn't release big hormones by itself. It doesn't release, estrogen, testosterone, all those big hormones by itself. Instead, it signals a hormone called GnRH. It's a signal hormone. And GnRH is a hormone that pulses. It's not a steady stream of GnRH. So, like I said, it's released in pulses. And what it actually does is it tells the pituitary gland how much LH to release and how much FSH to release. And this is a very important key. The speed of GnRH pulses determines the LH to FSH ratio. So if that ratio is off, it's not balanced, your hormones aren't balanced. Now, why pulse frequency matters. So slow balanced pulses means more FSH, which means the egg matures, which means you ovulate. Now a fast rapid pulse means there's more LH, which in turn means there's more androgen production, and there's ovulation disruption. In other words, and this is as simple as we can put it here, is FSH equals egg growth, LH equals egg release, but only when it's timed correctly. What happens in PCOS? In many women with PCOS, the hypothalamus sends GnRH too fast. The pituitary responds by releasing too much LH, and the FSH stays relatively low. This creates a high LH to FSH ratio, poor follicle maturing, and the eggs, they start to grow, but they don't finish growing. So it's pretty much a repeat of almost ovulating, but not really ovulating, not releasing that egg. i.e., you get cysts, ovarian cysts, because the eggs are growing. They're in there, they're just not releasing. So, why this causes classic PCOS symptoms? Fast GnRH pulses means high LH, which we've went through before. Ovaries produce excess androgens, which leads to irregular or absent ovulation, long or unpredictable cycles, acne or hair changes, ovarian cysts, and because you don't ovulate, the progesterone never rises, and your cycles never close, and your periods become erratic and absent. So you have to think of the menstrual cycle as a loop. You know, if this doesn't happen, then that won't happen. It's a chain reaction type of thing. And with PCOS, if that's disrupted or your hormone signaling isn't working properly, there's no way that you're going to be able to be regular. Your cycle isn't going to go in that loop that it needs to go in. Also, why birth control doesn't fix this. Doctors love to prescribe birth control when you tell them you have PCOS, you tell them your periods are irregular. Birth control doesn't fix the problem. It essentially shuts down the hypothalamus. Now, this isn't literal. It doesn't literally shut it down completely, but for the most part, for what you need it to do, for what you want to happen, it disrupts the hypothalamus. It suppresses GnRH rather than retraining it, and it creates an artificial cycle. Once stopped, the hypothalamus often returns to the same fast pulse pattern. So even if you take birth control to regulate your cycles, they may seem like they're regulating, but at the end of the day, once you stop with that synthetic, hormone, once you stop putting that in your body, your hypothalamus will go back to what it was doing before, and which in turn, I'm telling you, it didn't solve anything, it just masked the problem. Now, why natural approaches can help. Certain lifestyle changes and supplements can calm the hypothalamus, improve insulin signaling, reduce stress hormones, lower excess LH output, and over time this can slow the GnRH pulse frequency, restore LH to FSH balance, allow follicles to mature, and support real ovulation. Now, the natural approach doesn't work overnight. It's a regimen that you have to be on for, consistently for a few months to see, overall progress. But your PCOS didn't happen overnight. You have to give it time to balance out and restore. Now, the big takeaway from this section here is PCOS is not an ovary problem. It's a timing problem coming from the brain. When the hypothalamus learns to slow down and listen again, ovulation can return. And that's very important to know because a lot of women don't understand that. They just believe that PCOS is an ovary problem. My hormones are out of whack. I need to balance my hormones. No, your body should be able to balance it itself, but you have to put it in a state of being able to do that. You have to have your hypothalamus balance out so the pulsing of the GnRH is steady and slow like it needs to be, not erratic and fast like it usually is in PCOS. There are of five types of PCOS. There's LH dominant, insulin resistant, adrenal, inflammatory, and post-birth control PCOS. Now, LH dominant PCOS, LH is supposed to surge once per cycle right before ovulation, but in LH dominant, LH is high every day. High LH overstimulates the Theca cells in the ovaries, which in turn produce more androgens, creating a cycle of hormonal dysfunction. So these are some of the symptoms of LH dominant PCOS. Like I said, the ratio is off, which makes ovulation difficult or inconsistent. You have irregular or long cycles and long stretches without ovulation. Androgen-related symptoms includes, the jawline, chin, acne, hair shedding, and you have the mid-cycle fall surges where you feel ovulation symptoms, but you don't actually release an egg. Next is insulin resistant. In this type of PCOS, the body doesn't respond well to insulin. The pancreas produces more and more insulin to try to keep blood sugar normal, and high insulin becomes a hormone disruptor. You'll have blood sugar instability, including fatigue after meals, sugar cravings, energy crashes. You'll also have weight gain around the stomach, and you'll have a very hard time losing that weight. A lot of times, doctors will tell you if you want to manage your PCOS, you have to exercise and lose weight and get smaller. Well, in insulin resistant PCOS, that's very, very difficult, almost impossible to do. If you're not doing something about the underlying cause of the insulin resistant PCOS, it's very difficult for you to lose weight to address the situation. Also, another symptom is darkened skin patches, skin tags, oily, acne prone skin. And you can also know that you have insulin resistant PCOS when you go on one of the low carb diets and it actually starts to help you out, and you your symptoms start to become, you get better. But that's, of course, because you're not eating carbs, your blood sugar isn't rising, and, cause and effect. And next is the adrenal PCOS. And this one, the adrenal glands are overproducing androgens, especially DHEAS. This usually happens when the body is under long-term stress. These are the symptoms. That already, we have symptoms worsened by stress, such as irregular periods after emotional stress or burnout, sleep disruptions, such as waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, wired at night, and tired during the day patterns, anxiety, irritability, cortisol swings, especially during stressful periods. So, this is the stress, you know. And then the inflammatory PCOS. This type is caused by chronic inflammation. Inflammation raises androgen levels indirectly by irritating the ovaries and disrupting hormone signaling. Symptoms include chronic low-grade inflammation. You can also have digestive issues, food sensitivities, frequent headaches. Also, I had that before. Let's see, cycles that become irregular during flare-ups, illnesses, stress, or inflammation spikes. Skin and body inflammation, signs such as acne, eczema, rosacea, joint pain, and general body aches. Fatigue and sluggish ovulation, where follicles struggle to mature due to disrupted hormone signaling. And last but not least is the post-birth control PCOS. Now this one's fairly simple. It's for those who have been on birth control for a long time. Before they started birth control, their periods were irregular, and now after stopping birth control, their periods are irregular. This is usually temporary. You'll have irregular cycles after stopping birth control, typically lasting 3 to 12 months. This is because you have low FSH and you have sluggish ovary response. It's just caused by the hormonal suppression from the pills. There's could be acne flare-ups, especially on the jawline and chin and cheeks. Um, so this is pretty much because the birth control suppressed your hormones. Your hormones have to have some time to adjust and get back to where they used to be before you started the pill. Why Western medicine often falls short. Conventional Western medicine typically treats PCOS with pharmaceuticals such as birth control, metformin, and anti-androgen medications. While these treatments can temporarily manage symptoms, they often fall short and they don't address the root cause, which leads many women to continue to struggle with irregular cycles, chronic bleeding, and ovulation, infertility, fatigue, and metabolic distress. Western medicine treats outcomes, and we're going to be addressing communication. Now, Western medicine pretty much focuses on symptom suppression. They take birth control. They make you take birth control, which masks your cycles and masks your symptoms. Ovulation isn't restored with this method, and the root signaling issues remain, which we've all just said over here. Now, the goal is to retrain hormone feedback loops. Hormones work in loops. Supplements and herbs can lower excess LH, improve insulin signaling, calm adrenal output, reduce inflammatory noise, and consistency matters more than perfection. So each of these right here, LH dominant, insulin resistant, adrenal, and inflammatory PCOS, the supplements can naturally do all this and put this back into a balanced environment. Now, I want to say this right now. You can have more than one type of PCOS. I have three types of PCOS, but it doesn't make it impossible for you to treat it. You know, I have three types. Whatever regimen or herbal supplements I need for these three types, I will, you know, stack it. Some of the supplements overlap. Like there's a supplement that you might take that might be in common between the inflammatory PCOS and the LH dominant PCOS. But consistency matters more than perfection. I've been on my regimen for a while. It is working beautifully. And I can honestly say that I've missed a few doses here and there. And it's not about being perfect. If you miss a dose or two here or there, it's not going to derail all your progress. We don't want perfection, okay? We want consistency. How this information can be used. Well, most importantly, talking to your doctor with clarity. A lot of people go to the doctor and they have no idea what they're doing. Like, I'm not going to say the doctors are wrong. The doctors don't know what they're doing. The doctors are just not informed on how to deal with this type of problem. They're not told that PCOS is a communication problem. They look at it as a hormone balancing problem, but it doesn't get to the root. You know, the hypothalamus is a very small part of the brain. It's almond sized, pretty much almond shaped. It's so small people overlook it. Now, this will also help you advocate for yourself. If you know what you're talking about, if you know the questions to ask, you can help your doctor help you. You know, come in informed, give them the information that they need to help you. Also, it'll help with tracking signs instead of calendars. I know they say your cycle should be 28 days, 4 weeks, whatever, but a lot of people don't have that like clockwork thing. And it's okay if you don't. As long as you have the signs of your LH, spiking or declining, and the FSH, how the hormones are moving. You know your body. It doesn't have to be perfect. Also, it helps you make informed decisions about what supplements to choose. Like I said previously, not every PCOS type needs the same supplement regimen. If you have too much LH, you don't want to take a supplement that raises LH. It's ridiculous. Know what you need to take and when you need to switch certain things out. On I want to tell you that you are not broken. Your body isn't failing, it's communicating. When you understand the language, healing becomes possible. That's very important. A lot of people with PCOS, even me, when things weren't going how I wanted them to go, I tried everything, and I just felt like maybe I'm broken. Maybe it's not going to happen for me. But once you understand what's going on and you understand what to apply to fix the problem, everything falls into place. Now, I have a book that I've written. It's called Healing PCOS Naturally: Herbal and Supplement Protocols for Every Type. And it explains the 5 types of PCOS, which I did here. It goes into more detail. Also, it has a supplement guide for each type. That's the regimen. If you have a certain type of PCOS, it tells you the dosage and all that good stuff, exactly what supplement is needed and what you should take. And it gives you the truth that the doctors won't tell you because they simply don't know. Now, you can download it here, scan this QR code, and get the book. You can get it for free. First 100 copies are free. Just put in code BY PCOS. That's BYEPCOS. And you'll get a free download, free copy. Um, and hopefully it helps you because I'm telling you, before I did my research and started to understand how things worked, I was lost. All doctors wanted to do was put me on birth control, you know, or the same old, prescribe whatever pharmaceuticals and, drugs to help you ovulate, but your body should be able to do it naturally. Once you get it into sync, it will do it naturally. So, like I said, this book here has so much information in it. It is free. First 100 copies are free. So you can get yours now. Just type in code BYEPCOS and should be all good for you guys. And I hope this helps you. And if you have any questions, you can ask them. If you want more information, let me know because I'm more than happy to help because PCOS has been a problem for too long. And I'm happy that I've cleared up my symptoms and started to get back on track. And I want to help others get on track and conceive. Baby, that's to all.